Welcome, everyone, to Healthcare Leadership Live. I'm your host, Mike Lyons, an HR services provider, and I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us here today. Whether you're tuning into the podcast or joining our live stream, you're in the right place if you are a small or growing healthcare business leader hungry for real, actionable tips to propel your growth and optimize your operations. I am a big fan of self-care, and today's guests are wellness experts, and they will help you up-level your wellness as a leader, and it's absolutely essential to practice good wellness as a leader if you want to be effective in retaining and managing and just getting the best out of your people. And so I think we're in for a great show today. As always, the show is sponsored by Seasoned Advice HR Services, where I focus on helping small and medium-sized healthcare businesses to retain employees better and get better results from your payroll expense. With that, here's the show. We are talking today about wellness tips for leaders and professionals, and this is something that I have been super passionate about for a long time. And I have with me here today a couple of friends, one old friend and one new friend, but they're both experts in the wellness space. And so I wanted to invite them on to talk about this because they know a lot more about this than I do. And so, we're just going to have a conversation about wellness. So just to get us started, our first guest here, Stephanie Collins. Stephanie, would you just tell us about your background in wellness and, how you came to be interested in that topic? And then Erika will just follow up with you.
Sure. Yeah, thanks, Mike. So I have been in the healthcare field for 25 years. So I've always had a passion for health of patients and making sure that they understand where they can go, closing those care gaps. And I've also seen a lot of struggles from our patients, really understanding the healthcare system, feeling like they're struggling to get into certain positions or understanding a preventative kind of type of medicine. I've always been interested in healthcare in that aspect and understanding how to work those processes through patients. I personally struggle with some autoimmune disease. And so I've been trying to understand health from a different perspective, not necessarily our sick care kind of nation that we have, but more from a preventative, what can I personally take control of over the past 10, 15 years. And then during COVID, I really wanted to understand even more. So I went back to school and got certified as a health coach. And so really just trying to understand holistically how all of us can take care of ourselves and take care of each other. So from a food and exercise perspective, but also from sleep and surrounding yourself with the right people, making sure you're taking care of yourself, those kind of things. So that's a little bit of my background and my passion. And the specific thing that I love the most is all about gut health, just from a personal perspective is really like my main focus, but really entire body.
Okay, there's a couple good topics in that I definitely want to circle back on. But Erika, tell us about yourself and your focus on wellness and what you do.
Yeah, I work full-time as a property manager, and over 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 malignant melanoma. And at the time, I was right out of college, and I was doing kind of everything that I know now to be wrong in terms of how to get yourself sick. And at the time I was anorexic, I was working really hard. I wasn't sleeping. I was partying too much. I was drinking way too many Diet Cokes in a day, just treating myself really badly. And I turned towards food at that point, healed my relationship with food at that point in my life. And I guess without knowing it at the time, was using mindset to get over a diagnosis and kind of work through that. So I've been passionate about health for over 20 years now. And during COVID, I got certified as a functional medicine health coach. And over the last couple of years as a manager, as a leader of a team, I've really noticed how much it affects work when you're showing up drained and you're not taking care of yourself, especially as from the leader's perspective and what that does to your team. So that I would say is my passion, is helping leaders to get their health back and really show up in a different way at work.
Cool. Definitely some good stuff in what you said that I'm going to circle back on as well. I think all that stuff ties in with leadership. Maybe let's start high level. And Erika, I'll pick on you, I guess, to start because you talked about leadership. But as a leader, how have you seen, you talked about this a little bit, how have you seen wellness and taking care of yourself affecting you and maybe affecting the people on your team?
Yeah, going back to when I decided to go to school for health coaching and functional medicine, I was at my wit's end. I was so stressed out. I think all of us were during COVID, was scared to death to go to work, and to lead a team on top of that was just, it was practically impossible. And my journey with the health and seeing how it showed up for my team started really with quitting alcohol. I, during COVID, got into a habit of drinking every night just to fall asleep and to forget about everything that was going on in the world, which I think is an easy habit to get into today too, given everything that's going on in the world once again. But I, having quit drinking, then I had to work on my sleep, and then I had to work on showing up for myself every day, and so many things. And I started realizing as I was showing up as a better version of myself, that everybody on my team was watching that. And everybody on my team has started like understanding more personal development and what they're eating, how often they're going to the doctors. Like, we have these conversations now that we weren't having before. And I've definitely brought coaching into the workplace as well. So I've noticed such a turnaround in terms of the happiness factor at work and the productivity. And it really had to start with me showing up better for myself first, and then showing up better for them. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, that was awesome. Like 10 out of 10. Yeah. Yeah, Stephanie, how about you? Like, how have you seen like wellness and leadership and how the people you've worked with, how that's affected them?
Yeah, I think to Erika's point, I think all of us, it generally is like a society in like America, right? We are like, you work all the time, right? And you think about like your personal life or retiring so much later, right? You're just work to build your career, and then you'll live your life later. And really, I think we should be doing those simultaneously. And so it's hard to do that when you're very focused on maybe going back to school, building your career, you're a young individual trying to like succeed, or you're working because so many hours, you got to take care of your family, pay your bills. But to your point, we have to remember that we cannot bring our best selves to work or to our family or to our friends. Then we're going to struggle, and they're also going to struggle. So internally, I try to tell all of my team members, whether they're my directs or my staff, is what Southwest tells us all the time. Put your oxygen mask on first, right? You have to take care of yourself so that you can be a better version of yourself for everybody else. And I think that's important, regardless if you're leading a team, you're caring for a loved one, a child, your friends, everything, right? If you can't focus on yourself. Personally, I've used a lot of the stuff that I've learned over the years from like going to different meetings, stuff that I learned when I was in my class for my certification for health coaching. There's all of the techniques of like taking a second, really breathing. If you're anxious or you're nervous or your reaction is to like lose your mind, right? Just take 5 seconds, recalculate yourself for a second before you do those things. And then focusing on your sleep, what you're putting in your body, because usually all of those things are intertwined. If you're struggling to sleep, it might be because there's something very stressful at work or something with a loved one. It might be something that you're eating that's impacting. If you're eating too late and you're having to digest that food, right, it's keeping you up. So all of those things usually go together. And so I think maybe working on those things, being aware of them, and then just trying to focus on them and you break it down. Like her first one was like, I have to quit drinking, there's a problem. And that affects you in different ways. And whether it really benefits you or not is a totally different question. And then keep breaking it down into that. But being the best version of yourself is important for not only your peers or your directs or your team members, but also yourself, your family, everything.
Yeah, one thing I noticed from what y'all were talking about is I think about, because I'm a dad, and I think about setting an example for kids. Like when Erika was talking, I was thinking like she was setting an example, and like all the kids in the family, which is really her team, were like, oh, okay, that's how you do it. And so they learn from you like, this is how it is. And then they got interested in it. I've seen that would you say, Erika, it's like that sort of analogy?
Yeah, and it's far more effective than talking about it and talking about what you should do. When you are showing up, actually doing it, nobody needs to hear what you're doing. They can see it. Like, the difference between somebody taking care of themselves outside of work and at work and somebody who's not. Like, it's easy. They can smell it out almost.
Yeah, I think you're right. They can see it in a lot of different ways. I want to talk to the folks that are on the session. If anyone has a question or a comment, we would love to have any comments or questions. Y'all can just pop them into the comments section of the LinkedIn, platform. And we'll try to address every question that we can get to. For our experts here, we'll take those questions on. But Erika, you touched on the alcohol topic. So I, like you, my alcohol consumption went like through the roof during COVID. And it wasn't necessarily to fall asleep. It was just to manage the stress because there were so many things changing. And if you were in any kind of leadership role, COVID was just like, it was already hard enough, and it just made it harder, right? And so I'm over here, man, I'm sophisticated. I got my cocktail here, and so yummy. But so I haven't had any alcohol since New Year's Eve, and I was already tapering. But I feel like my energy has really changed. And now alcohol has lately gotten more press in a bad way, but there was a time when it was getting like, good press maybe, especially for wine and stuff. What is y'all's take on that? Do you have a comment on on booze, one way or the other?
I know for me personally, like, it's a personal choice. I don't see any health benefits in it personally. And I know once I entered my 40s, alcohol didn't really agree with me in the same way that it did before. It was harder and I'm 46 now. And the last time I drank, I don't know the date, but the last time was April of last year. And for 4 days after, I had so much anxiety, and it was like to the extreme of, I don't understand why we're on this planet. Like, it was bad mentally.
Wow. You were going through some dark times there.
Yeah, it was just because of the alcohol.
Wow.
And I don't know how true this is, but I have heard that every time you stop drinking, so if I drink Friday, Saturday, Sunday night, it takes a full 6 days to get your sleep back. And considering how long it took me to train myself back to getting really good sleep, that is not worth it for me. And I think you can tell the difference when somebody shows up to work after having 1, 2, 3 drinks the night before. So for me personally, not worth it. Don't like it. Mm-hmm. Other people around me want to drink, that's their choice. It's a good choice, but that's my opinion.
Yeah. Stephanie, what's your hot take on alcohol?
I have mixed opinions on it. Like, from a personal experience, similar to Erika, right? Like, the older I get, I don't seem to metabolize it the same, right? At first, it was like, I can't drink. I might be able to have a drink at 5 or 5:30 and be okay, right? Because I'm probably hydrating, and I've got a lot of time for my body to break down all of that stuff before I go to sleep. And so I would just try to avoid drinking later. And then again, during COVID, you're stressed. It's an easy way. So I don't drink as much as I used to. I never drink that much anyways, but in the general sense, I don't drink as much as I used to. Mine is more of a social, right? If I'm out like with some people or whatever, I might have a couple of drinks, but I'm definitely aware of what I'm putting into my body. Is it full of like nitrates or whatever from wine? Is it organic? Is it coming from a good place? Is it a big like mixed sugary drink? What time am I having it? So I probably still have a drink or two a week, like from a social setting, but try to be as low glycemic as possible, not a bunch of sugary like additives added to my drink. I think a lot of press is saying that it's a neurotoxin over the long term. It's not good for you. And I can definitely see that. And then you also have the centurions from Sardinia that have been drinking wine every day for years, and they're living to 100. So I think you have to make smart choices. I don't think that it should be a coping mechanism for stress. I don't think it should truly be social, right? I think if you want to have one drink, be responsible about it, be thoughtful about it, right? And don't use it as a crutch. And I think it becomes an individual decision. So I kind of have mixed feelings. I think a lot of people use it not in the right way. And we're not in our 20s. We can't go out and get trashed and make it work the next day anymore, unfortunately.
Good old days.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, I think, those habits, they can die hard. Erika, congrats on staying strong there. But it sounds like it has made a difference, like in your energy level and stuff.
Oh yeah, energy wise, completely. The biggest difference is sleep and anxiety. Like things that would totally set me off and make me a horrible manager to my team. I don't have that because I don't go in after having had any alcohol. So I agree with Stephanie. It's a personal choice, and there's both sides of the coin. I know for me, it's not a choice of abstaining or not anymore. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Like, alcohol is just there. Yeah.
I think just to add on that, Mike, to Erika's point, like we are all individuals. And so everything that we do has to be for us and serving us, right? So if my coping mechanism for me to like de-stress is maybe journaling or grounding or something like that, may work for me. That doesn't mean that's going to work for you. That's not going to work for Erika. Like it has to be trial and error for yourself and what works for you. Just be responsible and be cognizant of how it makes you feel and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. I want to get on the topic of sleep for a second. And so the alcohol leads me to the sleep topic. So Stephanie, I'll throw this at you, and then Erika, I'd love to hear your thoughts. But I don't know, talk about sleep and like how have you seen people doing with sleep lately? Obviously it has some importance, but what's your feeling on if you're talking to a client or someone and that's an issue, like where does your head go?
Yeah, I would say sleep is probably as important as drinking water. It's probably one of the most important things that you need to be focused on from a health perspective, in my personal opinion, because again, like everything is going to trickle down. If you have a terrible night's sleep for whatever reason, right, your decisions the next day are probably going to be impacted by that. And then you end up in some perpetual cycle, right? So if I have a terrible night's sleep, I wake up, I'm probably going to be cranky. I'm going to be yelling at people. I'm not going to be prepared for my day. I may have to have 10 cups of coffee with a bunch of sugar in it just to keep myself going. I may not have made good food choices. I'm not going to get my workout in, right? It just continues to add on. And so I would say it's the most important. If I'm talking to somebody that's struggling with sleep, I'm probably asking them a lot of questions, like what's going on with you personally? Do you have a lot of stress? Do you have problems falling asleep, or is it staying asleep? Because those might have two different things going on. And then, what's going on in your life? What did you eat before you go to bed? What did you have to eat before you went to bed? Did you exercise today, or did you sit around all day? Because I think every one of those things will impact you in different ways. So kind of have to get a little closer to the root of the problem and see what they're having. They could also have a medical problem like sleep apnea or something else, right? But I would argue it's probably one of the most important things from a health perspective to take care of. And the other medical benefit or side effects you have from just not having enough sleep, let alone the bad decisions you might make the next day.
Yeah, Erika, anything you want to add to that?
In terms of, I agree with everything you said. And I think in terms of like the questions that you're asking somebody that is struggling with sleep, another question that I would ask is, when was the last time you could remember sleeping well, and what was different in your life then than it is now? Because whenever something's going wrong with our health or in our life, we're just focused on that, and we can't remember a time where it was good. So once we start like thinking, oh, this, you start triggering, oh wait, this was the same, this was different. And you can start like piecing things together and hopefully get to some kind of understanding. But there's so many things that affect individual sleep, including like all of the things you've listed. And I think, Mike, the three of us have talked through email chain about looking at the news, the doom scrolling on social media. There's so many things that we can do to screw ourselves over in terms of not getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah. I'm thinking about like getting into a bubble or something like that, and like to where I can't have my phone or anything. And then I'll just be like in ignorant bliss, like sleep will be perfectly fine. Yeah. So I've been struggling a little bit with that. So waking up early in the morning, like 3, 4 a.m. and not necessarily thinking about anything. And so I'm thinking like it could be stress. It could be I have stuff going on right in the home life. And so it could be that. It could be so many things, right? So anyway, yeah, that's a huge one. That's it. I notice if I have a good night's sleep, I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And just like what Stephanie was saying, I feel energy. I'm ready to go for a run. And if like today, I'm like, I didn't sleep very well, I'm not going to the gym, I don't want to do anything, I coffee, and then the coffee, and so maybe this is like a topic here too, is coffee. And so then you overdo that. And then like Stephanie, you said, it becomes a cycle. So maybe I had too much caffeine and then it affects the sleep. And I don't know, is coffee a good thing, bad thing? Depends on is it keep it in moderation? Erika, what's your take on coffee?
I think just like alcohol, it's got to be individual. I go through cycles of caffeine, no caffeine. I think with any sort of caffeinated beverage, whether it's tea or coffee, you need to start your day with water. You shouldn't be starting first thing in the morning with coffee. You also have to give your body some time to wake up so that it's fully awake before you start downing the caffeine. Like, I know my mom has to stop working or stop drinking coffee at 10 o'clock in the morning. I can drink caffeine until 4 o'clock in the afternoon and get a great night's sleep. So I think that one's individual too. Like, coffee has its health benefits for sure.
Yeah. I have definitely been that person who like wakes up right away, boom, like give me some of that espresso. I almost wonder if it's like I've trained myself to have coffee so early that like my body is starting to be like, coffee time, wake up, you know?
You should also notice like the way it affects your body physiologically. If you drink it first thing in the morning, you're going to get a crash later too. And I think it's adenosine. I'm not sure the name of the chemical, but your body isn't fully releasing that from sleep. So you're not fully waking your body up, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, no, I've heard about that kind of thing, and it's hard. It's like a habit thing. It's, oh man, I always have coffee. In a way, I think coffee is harder than alcohol for me because it has more of a positive feel to it. Oh, I feel good. I feel nice. Whereas with alcohol, like there's more of a clear, oh man, I'm not feeling so good. But with coffee, it's almost all upside unless I get into the jitters or whatever. And then, I don't know, even then it's like, all right, let's go. And then my wife has to slap me up a little bit because I'm getting like tense and a little bit too angry. She puts me in check. Okay, so I want to kind of shift gears a little bit here. Stephanie, you talked about gut health, and I definitely noticed when I was initially having some of my health issues that like the gut was not going so good. And I'm going to lay it right out there, okay? I was not pooping. The poop was not working. Totally constipated in the early 2000s. And I think that was like from childhood and stuff because it wasn't working so good back then. I remember my grandparents were like, here, drink this prune juice. Here, this will help you out. And so I think stopping the dairy and the gluten kind of unlocked that for me. But there's so much more to gut health. So Stephanie, I don't know, tell me about your thoughts on gut health and like what people can be doing for that and how it maybe connects to more than just your poop and stuff.
Yeah, your gut these days, I mean, like your microbiome is pretty much controlling all sorts of things, right? And it's 80% of your immune system. So if your gut is out of whack, you're probably sick. You're more at risk of getting viruses or some sort of infection, right? It can impact your sleep stuff if you're not digesting well. It can affect your nutrient level, your protein intake. Then you can have all of the gastrointestinal like issues of like flatulence and not going to the bathroom regularly and indigestion. And so it impacts us more than we think. It's also, your gut is also where the bulk of your serotonin is made. And that is your happy feeling, right? So they are relating gut health to depression. And so really focusing on understanding how your gut is working and how to improve that, I think is also a big thing. Similar to you, Mike, that was one of my first things I noticed was like, hey, this is not working out so well for me. And I was putting on all this weight and it was really it was doing that back in the 2000s. And we are the same age, Mike, so I'm curious. Just kidding.
Yeah.
I feel bad all the time, right? And so you have to then figure out like what, again, this is about like getting to the root cause. What are you putting into your body? Are you getting enough fiber, right? To your good bacteria in your gut that you need have to feed off of all of that. And so are you getting enough fiber? Do you have any food sensitivities? Are you eating a lot of processed food? Are you having a lot of alcohol, caffeine? All of those things can also have a big impact on your gut. Are you drinking too much water? Sometimes if you've got like a hydrochloric acid, low stomach acid, having additional water or whatever while you're eating might when you're trying to digest your food. So I think trialing things, figuring it out, but focusing on your gut, what you're putting into it, how to support that is extremely important. You could go all down the rabbit hole of pre and probiotic, postbiotics, right? This could go on forever here, but just remembering that what you're putting into your body and your eating is extremely important, and your gut is 80% of your immune system. So it's really important for that to be functioning properly.
Yeah, when that's not working, man, it's not a happy deal.
No, I'm sure you weren't feeling great when you're not going to the bathroom, right?
Yeah, no, was not feeling good. I would eat like just a little bit, and I'd be like, I'm full already. I'm like so bloated. Like, what is the deal? And like, I was dealing with a lot of brain fog at that time as well. And so the whole brain gut connection was like totally makes sense to me. Erika, if someone is coming to you as a health coach and they're having some of those like brain fog, I don't know, poop's not working, what are some of the top couple things that come to mind for you that you might talk about?
I think everything that Stephanie mentioned is definitely something that I would look at. The key word, I think, is consumption. And it's not just the consumption of what you're eating and drinking. It's also what you're consuming in terms of news, social media, who you're surrounded by, because the gut's also affected by stress. So if you are stressed out, and there's so many different individual reasons to have gut problems. So it's talking through it and like starting with the outside of an onion and just like peeling off the layers and trying to figure it out, because we are all so different. There's not a one approach for everybody, but it is looking at all those things. Like, and I think it's usually the thing that you are least wanting to give up is the thing that
yes, I think you're right. I think that kind of that is an effective way to think about a lot of things. It's like that thing you don't want to do is probably the thing you should do, or the thing you don't want to give up. So for me, it's coffee. So I probably need to try going for more than like a day without coffee. That's been my back lately. One day is the most.
Do you think that coffee is impacting you in a negative way, though?
I do think it is, because my standard coffee consumption. Okay, good. You're starting to coaching me now. Okay. This is what I was really hoping for. No. So my standard coffee is 2 shots of espresso, like in an almond milk. And like usually sometimes by the end of that, I'm feeling okay. But a lot of times by the end of that, like I'm tense, might be feeling angry, might be feeling a little bit like edgy in a way that's really not really good. Like, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. It's not a good side effect. And yeah, to be very honest with myself, you have to be honest with yourself. I don't know that it's a good thing. Now, it does have good benefits, right? I start to feel good. It gives me some energy. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is cool. Like, I'm vibing. But I'm not sure I'm not sure the juice was worth the squeeze, to put it in like corny corporate speak terms. Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you're having trouble sleeping recently, right?
I totally am, yes. And also I have been having like some personal stuff going on, like family wise, that has been, I don't know, going up and down. But although that stuff is abated, but the sleep has actually gotten worse lately. So I don't know that it's the sort of personal stuff. So I'm not sure what that is. And I stopped drinking the coffee, like usually around like by 10, I'm usually done. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's in the mind, quite frankly. Or the other thing was before we went live, I was talking about menopause, and then I threw out the term menopause, which has to be a real word. It has to be a real thing. I've never tested my testosterone or anything, and so I'm like, oh, maybe I need to check my hormones and stuff, because like maybe menopause is hitting me. You know what I mean? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it's just something I'm thinking about. All right, that's enough about me.
Oh, man.
Okay, Stephanie, you talked about something that I wanted to hit on. And so you were talking about eye care and the eye field and how you were seeing the patients at your practice being affected by that. And I have some eye care people in my network. I know you do too. So like talk about the connection between like body health or I don't know, nutrition or whatever, and eye health just briefly, because there is a connection, right?
For sure there's a connection. And really, like, even tying back into like gut health, like there are more studies coming out that say like your gut is affecting other things that like happen to you systemically, including things that happen into your eyes. So I work in like a retina only practice. And so it's the majority of my patients are either diabetic or they're suffering from macular degeneration. And while there can be genetic components to both of them, a lot of it comes down to environmental factors. Macular degeneration is definitely predominantly in more of a Caucasian genetic pool, but things like exposed sun exposure with no sunglasses, not having enough like polyphenols, your dietary changes, right? So we'll actually talk to folks about a bunch of supplements that are supportive of the retina and to build it back up, dietary changes to increase your greens, your fruits, avoiding a lot of simple sugars, right? Those kind of things to help support and rebuild the retina. And then the same thing for diabetics. I do see type 1 diabetics in my clinic, but the bulk of them are type 2. And while type 2 can be also hard to manage from an individual perspective, a lot of that comes from environmental factors. So I think educating patients again about to the best of their ability about the food choices they're making, moving their body. I think a lot of people think like all I can do is eat well and exercise. It's really about eating better, being aware of what you're putting into your body. You don't have to eat everything that's like organic, right? There's certain things that you can miss out on if you're just making better choices and not going for the quick, convenient, fast food stuff, and maybe cooking at home, being more aware of those kind of things. Yeah. All of that stuff can be impactful of specific of your eye health, cataract formation, all sorts of things, right? But
cool. Yeah, I worked with you in the past, and I became really passionate about that. And when you lose a function of your health, such as your vision, it's super devastating, and people want to protect that. And it's so fascinating. And I think this is why y'all probably are interested in wellness too. It's just like how you eat, how you consume things in the world affects your body, your mindset, and all that, and it's all connected. I'm curious, so y'all both are certified health coaches. So what is it like to work with it? I've never worked with a health coach. I don't really know exactly what that is. So maybe Erika, I'll start with you. What if I came to you and I said, Erika, man, I don't feel good, and my doctor says I need a health coach, and what would that process be like to work?
Yeah, so I think if you're a patient coming from your doctor, when you're working with a health coach, you have somebody that's holding your hand through everything, explaining everything to you, answering the questions that you're too embarrassed to ask your doctor. You can be a lot more open, I think, with a coach than most people are willing to be with their doctor. And I think one of the reasons that I love coaching so much is it's never usually about what you come to the health coach for. It usually is, I think, so totally different than what you think your cause of your symptoms are. And like for me, with the way I coach with functional medicine, it's root cause. It's about everything in your life. It's about your career. It's about what you're eating, what you're consuming in terms of the world, your meditation practices, how happy you are in your relationships. It's everything. So it's really having a best friend to talk to and tell them all the things that you would never tell anybody else, and get out the stuff that's in your head that you're embarrassed to say that you're thinking. And really go down like learning new ways to think with mindset. And it really changes your life. It's just,
wow.
I love coaching. It's the best thing in the world, I think.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stephanie, I know you've done some coaching as well. What kind of benefits do you feel like you've been able to help folks with?
I think similar to Erica, I think we're here to be an extension of the provider. We're not here to replace them by any means, right? I'm not going to be taking over all of your medical advice and prescribing something for you and running a bunch of labs, right? I'm here as an extension from a support and an accountability perspective, and not like accountability that I'm going to strangle you if you didn't do it, right? But we're in this together, and I want to make sure that like the goals and the things that we're setting up together for you to make small changes along the way are going to be feasible for you, and I can be here to support you, and just checking in, talking through those things that like we might agree together that we can make as a next step for maybe some sort of change or alteration, right? Like is sustainable, and we're working through all of your concerns. Most people think about health like strictly from nutrition, and in medical school, most physicians get less than 20 hours of nutrition training. It's really just whether or not you're deficient or not. It's not really, right? And so for us as a health coach, like understanding nutrition in a different aspect, and then like holistically, as Erika said, is like everything goes together. And if one piece of that pie is out of whack, it can really have an impact to everything in your health circle. So getting to that root cause, talking to them. I had one patient, one time I met with her, and she came in for a specific problem, right? And she really wanted to talk about that. But by the time we left, it was like Erika said, it was like my best friend. She was like, oh my God, I cannot tell you how great it was to sit here and talk to somebody for an hour and not feel judged, and you were easy to talk to, and we connected. Can I just come back every week just to talk to you? I just need that like social connection or personal connection, and feel like they can lean on somebody. And so I think a health coach is going to be different to every individual person. Somebody's going to be very focused on nutrition and exercise and like, how do I correct these? And some people are in it for, I just need somebody to check in with me and help me work through some things. And some people are just looking for somebody to talk to. And so it can be a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I think, isn't that true that when they look at the blue zones and stuff, that it's your social network as part of that?
Yep, absolutely.
It's huge. And I don't think we've learned as many lessons as we should have through COVID, through the isolation. Like, I really think that we've become isolationists because of it. And we need to come out of that. Like, we really need to lean on each other more and be doing more in person and building our communities more, because that is an essential aspect of your health.
Yeah. That's super interesting that you said that, because so I'm an HR person, and in the community so all in my LinkedIn feed is a whole bunch of HR people, and a lot of them just love to talk about how remote work is so awesome, and I love it, and it's so good. And my personal experience with sitting at home all day in front of a computer it's not good. It's a thumbs down. And so I have to get out. When the job I had during COVID, I was in person most of the time, and I like that. I want to be around people. And so this gets it to like, is it really in the public interest for people to be working remotely? I don't know. What's y'all's, sounds like, Erika, you might have a take on that.
Yeah, I think so. There's also studies that have been done, like us talking, the three of us, and seeing each other face to face. That's the same thing as being in person. Like, we're aligning with each other, we're breathing the same. It's not different. So I think it depends on the job you have. I think if the job you have doesn't allow you to be talking to people throughout the day, if you're just at home all by yourself all day long, I don't think that's particularly good. I do think that hybrid work is probably better if you're going to have some sort of at home, because I do know that you can definitely focus if you don't have any distractions. I would certainly like 4 hours a week where I could work from home, and I'd be much more productive if I had those 4 hours. Mm-hmm. But there's just something about being able to get up and leave the house and then come home. But that's just my opinion on that. I know my husband would prefer to work at home like 24/7. But I don't think
it's like a lot of things. Y'all have talked a little bit about like health and wellness. There's a lot of customization and can depend on your personality.
I don't think remote work is for everybody, right? The introvert who's probably, I'm fine behind the screen all day long or whatever, and doesn't need much social interaction is fine. somebody who needs social interaction and maybe also has it after the fact, right? They're like behind the screen from 8 to 5, and then like at 5 o'clock, they're with their friends down the street or their family, and they're interacting with their friends. So it might be a nice mix for them. And the other problem I see, or things that come up, I think, from like remote work is that people have a problem separating work, right? Because you're not physically like leaving the office to go home and now live your life. You're working at your dining room table, and that blurs into your personal time. And so people have a real issue separating those and inserting boundaries. Not me. I'm like, 5 o'clock, bye.
Close the laptop down. Boop.
But I think, again, it's like everything else. It's very individual. And so if their career now is remote, then I think having a conversation, HR folks should be having these conversations with their team members and say, do you foresee any situations coming up with remote work?
Yeah.
Are you going to be okay to be behind a screen? Should we have a weekly huddle or a daily huddle so you can connect with your team a little bit? Do you have an outlet? Are you going to be able to set those boundaries for yourself to shut down after work? Like, I think those are really important from either their direct supervisor or the HR department to be having those conversations, not to weed them out, but just to bring information about that so that people are set up for success.
Yeah, actually, I love what you said, because I liked what you were saying about customizing to the person. And so sometimes that can be hard in like a corporate or business environment, but having that flexibility. Hey, if you want to come in, if you're that social person, come in. If you're that person that wants to be at home and you work well there, then honestly, it's probably in the better interest of the company to let that person pick that with good leadership and stuff. But if someone's going to be more effective at home, by all means, hey, go home and we'll enjoy that productivity. Because if you're going to be here and it's very distracting, then you're going to be less productive. Or if you're going to be anxious, or if you're going to be whatever, chit-chatting all day long and not focused, like those are nuanced things that are okay. I want to throw it out again for anybody listening. If you have a question for our experts, throw it in the chat and we'll do our best to take that on. I think I want to try the speed round idea now. Okay, so I think this is going to be fun. Speed round. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out a topic, and I want to see like a thumbs up, like yes, like I think this is a good thing, or maybe it depends, or I'm not sure, or nah, this is like overhyped. Okay. Now, obviously, it's hard to generalize. I'm going to say that. Obviously, but just give me your general feeling. Okay. So the first one is saunas. Sauna. Thumbs up. Okay. Wow, those are both very strong. So I might have to come back to that. So let's flip that. Cold plunge, ice bath.
Personally.
Oh,
Just
wow.
for me personally, no way.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know that I would actually do it, but I think it has some benefits, I think. So I'm a little...
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Benefit-wise, for me personally.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. All right. What about grounding? Thumbs up, maybe. Okay. And I'm gonna come back to that, but we're in speed round, so we got to move on. We got to move off that. Okay. Oil pulling, which is, guess, where you put the coconut oil in your mouth. Okay. So maybe. How about fasting? Intermittent fasting. Halfway. Okay. Let's see. CBD. Okay. All right. So that was the speed round. Great job, awesome. Wow. That was so exciting and thrilling. Okay. So our one enthusiastic trend here, which that kind of says something, was the sauna. Y'all both really gave a thumb. So I don't know, Stephanie. So I think there's different kinds of saunas, I think. I don't know what that is all about. And then why should I care about sauna, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest benefits from a sauna perspective is it helps you release toxins in your body, right? Sweating in the general sense helps you release all those toxins. You are doing that if you're outside, obviously balancing sun and whatever, but if you're sweating, you're releasing toxins from your body. And the sauna is a nice, safe place to do that, right? You're not in the sun. Maybe you're not having to do like a lot of exertion from an exercise perspective. You can sit in there for 15, 20 minutes, nice sweat, meditate in there, right? And then like sweat all of those toxins out. Depending on the type of sauna you have, right, to your point, there's different ones or whatever. I don't know all of the specifics of every specific one, right? Like Himalayan salt is one thing, red light therapy is a whole nother, right? Steam. But what I like about them specifically is from the like expressing the toxins. And then it's generally for most people, it's 10, 15, 20 minutes by yourself.
Yeah.
A calm, quiet zone might be a great start to your day to like get all of that stuff out, get yourself refreshed before you move on. Maybe it's at the end of the day, which can have its own benefits from a sleep perspective, but definitely a supporter of a sauna for a multitude of reasons. I'm getting one, so I'm really ready to.
Oh, cool. All right. Exciting. And so is it the infrared sauna? Is that like a thing, or is that the kind that you're getting, or I don't know anything?
I'm getting one that has like steam or whatever, like before the water or like the rocks or whatever. But just because we're gonna have it outside. But
okay.
How about you, Erica? Do you have a preference in type?
Hit. Yeah. So I think I talked to you a little bit about this, Mike, just on a LinkedIn post. I started working out at Hotworks. It's an infrared sauna gym in November of last year, and I live in the Pacific Northwest. So our winters are cold and gray and dark, really dark. So I have noticed a difference in mood and the ability to stay warm during the day. I'm usually freezing. It helps with anxiety. It helps with sleep. It helps with just grounding yourself in general, like what you were saying about being usually you're alone in the sauna, detoxification. And there's so many benefits. And then when you add in yoga or Pilates or a cardio class, it makes it so that it's that much more compounded and you're getting more workout in less time is what Hotworks is about. So I'm a huge fan. I go multiple times a week and I love it.
Okay. So. I've been to Hotworks. I think it's pretty cool, and you're making me want to re-sign up right here. You made a sale.
And I have to say another thing, at least about the one that I go to, it's very community oriented and they do a lot of like member events. And so you're getting the social aspect on top of it.
Okay. Yeah, actually, y'all hit on there's a few things there that y'all hit on is, the social, the quiet. Stephanie, you talked about just like having a quiet time. Like, when do we ever have quiet time right now? We've got the phones, we've got podcasts, we've got everything's going all the time. And I don't know, that seems like a major, I feel like that's kind of like an epidemic right now, is like lack of attention. And I feel like for me, like, that's the one thing that it's like coffee. It's like the habit that like I need to probably really look at. I don't know. What have y'all seen in that area?
I think to that point, like we've almost made like wearing busy as a badge of honor. Like, I'm so busy right now.
Oh yeah, like, I gotta answer this.
I want to be busy. Yeah. We're trying to not be busy, aren't we? Like we need to have some calm in our lives, but we're not. Everything is multitasking. Like, how many things can you get done in a day? And then you have no time for yourself, no time for your friends, no time for your health. So it's an epidemic and it's not good.
So what you're saying is we need to go to Stephanie's house.
Yeah.
Jump in the sauna.
Yes.
Don't talk to each other. Just have quiet.
Yes. Yes. That's it.
Cool. Okay.
I think, Mike, just to like go back to that from like a leader perspective, right? I think reminding like your team also like to be present and be present for yourself, be present for your team. And here we are on the computer, right? But I want to make sure I have my notifications turned off so I'm not distracted by my phone or anything else that's going on. If I'm meeting with one of my employees, right, I put my phone on silent. I'm with them for the time that they need me because that's what they deserve. That's what our family deserves. And then when I take the time for myself, that's what I deserve. So I think trying to separate that stuff and being present in what you're doing is something that a lot of us struggle with because to Erika's point, or to your point, like, oh my God, my phone is going off. Somebody needs me, but really, do they, like, is the building on fire? Like, yes, call the fire department. That's what I tell my team. The building's not on fire. Figure it out, or we'll deal with it tomorrow. You know what I mean? I'm now at home focus on myself and my family. None of this stuff is that urgent.
I'm with you on that 100%. I have a question for both of you though. Have you seen an uptick in how much like people at where you work or where you have worked are using their phones on their off time to get a hold of each other on things that are work related? I feel because we're so connected, it's almost a habit that you have to break, like telling people, like for me personally, I had to go through a period of time where I told my employees, like, I'm turning my phone off from Friday through Sunday. Here's my husband's phone number. If you need something, call him. They don't call.
Yeah.
They know that it's not that important. So I'm curious how the phones have affected like leadership and trying to give people that, like the sense that work and life are separate.
Yeah, I think talking about it, setting that expectation, something like you're doing is like turning it off. I tell my staff generally, I am here for you like Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 or whatever. And if you really need something on the weekend, please contact me. But you have a life and I don't want to be bothering you outside of work. There's nothing that's that important. And then also like setting a thing like, if you need me urgently, call me. If you need me semi-urgently, send me a text and I'll get to it, or a chat. Email is like last resort. So if like you're emailing me or I'm emailing you, to me, that is like, you'll get to that when you have time to get to it. Right. So I think even just kind of setting that expectation, but from an employee, like managing up situation, that's also hard. Like for me, from like the physicians, me managing them going, hey guys, like I'm at home with my family. If this isn't urgent or this time I'll answer this question, but next time, can you do this? So I think it's definitely something that you have to work through, but people are terribly connected to their phone and their computer, and it's very easy to be like, oh, somebody knows I'm not at 7:30 at night, you know what I mean? They'll answer anyway. So yeah, it's up to the other party too to give that feedback and coaching to say, hey, next time this could have something that you could have handled on your own. I trust you, right? Make the best decision that you can for yourself, and we'll all learn about it the next time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've found that personally to be such a struggle to break. And I feel like people are really coming to work and expecting that to be a huge part of their life. Like too much of their life is tied into what they do.
We're here at the end of our hour, and I feel like we could go another, so let's just do it. What do you guys cancel your next appointments, and let's just do No, thank you guys both for joining. I love the topic. I really did have more stuff that we could have chatted about, and I think this is something that is super important. And I love that y'all are both like thinking about how can you set an example in your organizations that you work in, and you're both in leadership roles. And so you're setting a good example, and a lot of leaders, they won't do that. They won't bother with that, and they're not taking care of themselves. And so then it trickles down. And believe me, I've worked in some environments where that was totally the opposite, right? So someone's eating bad, overworking, bad attitude, and it just permeates the whole organization. And so as a HR practitioner, I love to see it when there are leaders who are thinking about their people, because they realize that if the people are doing well and the leader's doing well, then the company is probably going to be doing well. And believe me, when I've seen the leader not doing well, the company was not doing well, and employees were not doing well. And so all those things are really connected. So thank y'all for setting a good example for other people. And thanks for being on the LinkedIn Live here with me. If anyone would like to get in touch with y'all, please reach out to any of us through LinkedIn. I'm sure these guys would love to connect or answer questions. That brings us to the close of another episode of Healthcare Leadership Live. I hope you've gotten some valuable insights that you can implement right away to foster growth and efficiency and development in your healthcare business. Remember, the journey of business and leadership is a continuous one, and I'm here to support you every step of the way. Keep an eye out for future episodes of Healthcare Leadership Live, where I will continue to bring you conversations with industry leaders and actionable tactics to help your clinical business achieve its full potential. Thanks for tuning in, whether live or on demand. Now go out there and lead with confidence.